In this installment of my 2017 makeup declutter, I am going to take you through all of the face products that I have in my collection. So it's a broad category for things that I put on my face, including primers, setting sprays, foundations, and tinted moisturizers, concealers and correctors, and also some face palettes. I set a goal for myself to declutter my face products by 25%. So if you want to see the things that I'm going to be letting go of, then keep watching. These are all of the primers that I have in my collection right now, and I'm gonna keep all of them except for this Ever Matte Poreless Priming Perfector from Becca. I really like this primer. It works really well if you have oily skin. I just don't like how finicky it is to apply. It actually dries very quickly, and if you apply it incorrectly, it can be a total mess on the face. So this is the only one I'm gonna say goodbye to. It's just a little sample size, but this was still, I think, $20 maybe? The other primers I have here, one from The Ordinary. This is the High Spreadability Fluid Primer. I really like this stuff. I just don't like the applicator. I don't like the little pipette. I find it to be very messy, and for some reason, I have used quite a bit of this product, and I've only had it for maybe 6 weeks. Faced Hangover RX. I really like this primer for an everyday wear. It's not going to really make your makeup last all day necessarily, but it's quite hydrating on the skin. CLARINS Beauty Flash Balm. I love this stuff. I use it as a primer slash moisturizer. Although I'm not a huge fan of this Hourglass Ambient Light Correcting Primer, I'm still going to keep it because I want to use it up. This is in the shade Dim Light, and although I love the powder in Dim Light, the primer leaves much to be desired. It doesn't really do anything for your face. And lastly is the NYX Color Correcting Liquid Primer, and this one is in Pink Rose. I like this actually. It does help brighten my skin a little bit. I've only used it a couple of times just under a tinted moisturizer, but it actually is quite nice. Two products that I recently used up and I thought I would mention is the Chantecaille Just Skin, and I love this. This is my all-time favorite base. Another one I wanted to mention is the Chantecaille Future Skin, and the reason I wanted to mention this is because I purchased this last year and I've already used it up. This was not in my previous decluttering video because I purchased it afterwards, and I've already used it up. So I'm pretty impressed with myself. I did like this, although I probably wouldn't repurchase it because between this one and this one, I prefer Just Skin. Right now, I have in front of me my foundations and tinted moisturizers, some powder foundations, and also concealers. I know off the bat that I'm gonna get rid of a few of these products. I'm gonna keep all of the concealers. The main reason is because I actually really like all of these concealers. I am almost out of the Urban Decay Naked Skin, which is a really great fluid liquid concealer. I also really love the Bare Minerals Bare Skin. It has a very similar consistency to the Urban Decay, so you really don't need both of these. I just got both of them to try at the same time. I do prefer the color range on the Urban Decay Naked Skin. I feel like there's just more colors and tones with the Urban Decay, but the formulation of both of these is really nice. Of course, my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I love this. I want to use this up so I can pick up the new NARS concealer that's out in the little pot. And then lastly, I have two Bright Future concealers from Sephora. One is actually the concealer, the other one is the corrector. I love using correctors, and my favorite one has to be the Giorgio Armani Master Corrector in number 2. But this has been the corrector I've been using recently, and I do really like it, although I gotta say I prefer the Giorgio Armani one. And of course the Bright Future Gel Serum Concealer, which is a very similar consistency to the Radiant Creamy Concealer from NARS. So again, you wouldn't need both of these. One or the other would suffice. I found some other concealers that were hiding in my drawer that I forgot about, but I am going to say goodbye to all of these except for the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer and also this Magic Lumi. I like this Covergirl Ready Set Gorgeous concealer, but it's actually a bit too light for me, what I discovered. I also really like this MARC Super Conceal Full Coverage, but It's a little bit too full coverage for me, and I still like my natural skin to shine through a little bit. I haven't used either of these color correcting pencils from Avon, and I find that the pencil is actually a bit stiff, so I'm going to say goodbye to both of these. And then lastly is the Shiseido Natural Finish Cream Concealer. I do like this, but again, it is a bit too light for me at the moment. I can't make it work under the eyes or on my skin. As for powder foundations, I have 3 here. The first one is from an Asian brand that I don't know because I can't even read the writing on the bottom. But this is just a really lightweight, kind of all over powder. It's a little bit light for me, but it still works actually. So I'm gonna keep this one. I really like how it applies and it looks quite natural on. I wish I could remember where this was from because I actually really like it and it was pretty inexpensive. I'm going to say goodbye to the Pure Minerals Pressed Mineral 4-in-1 Makeup Compact. I have not used this since my last declutter, which means I probably won't. I used it maybe once and I found that the tone was a little bit dark for me. So, you know, back in the days when I used to tan a little bit more, this worked really well. But the shade that I picked up, which is in tan, is a little bit too deep for me right now. Lastly is the Too Faced Cocoa Powder Foundation. This I absolutely love. I still have a bit of product left in here. I use this typically in the spring and summertime, so I'm gonna keep this and use it up. As for bases, I have a few here. I know there are a couple of new ones from my last declutter. This Giorgio Armani Silk Foundation I just picked up last year, along with the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation, and then the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. So these 3 I'm definitely going to be keeping because I really like them and they're also fairly new. I'm going to say goodbye to these Avon Color Corrector creams, mainly because I've only used them a couple of times, and although I did like them, I just don't reach for them that often, and I don't feel like I'll reach for them in the foreseeable future. I'm also going to say goodbye to the Teint Visionnaire from Lancome. This is a 2-in-1 foundation. I like the formulation of this. It actually applies beautifully on the skin, and it also comes with a concealer on top. But the shade, which is in 320 Bisque W, is a little bit too warm for me. Again, I have been trying to stay out of the sun, so this one just doesn't quite go with my complexion anymore, so I'm going to say goodbye to this one. I'm also going to be keeping the Dior Nude Air Serum foundation, and I actually really like this. It's in number 30, and it's just a perfect kind of lightweight foundation. It has a very sheer to medium coverage, but I like how it applies and I like how it looks on. I've been using the Givenchy Teint Couture Long Wearing Fluid Foundation recently, and I also really like this. It's very easy to wear. It's just no fuss. I usually apply it with a beauty blender and it lasts all day long on me. This one is going in the maybe pile. I'm gonna stick it in kind of my everyday makeup drawer to use. This is the Physicians Formula. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's from the Nude Wear collection from Physicians Formula. I remember really liking this because of the formulation. It was very easy to blend and it looked really nice on. I just haven't used it recently, so that's why I'm going to put this in my to use pile. Let's start with the products that I know I'm going to say goodbye to. One is the Derma Blend Setting Powder. I do like this a lot actually. It works really well, but I just find that it is a little bit drying on the skin. It works so well though, so if you use this to set your makeup, it will last all day long. It will not budge. But for my dehydrated skin, I just don't like how it kind of tightens my skin, and it also makes my skin feel really dry. Surprisingly, it doesn't accentuate dry patches. It just tends to really suck up all of the oil, and I don't mind my skin being a little bit dewy, so this one I'm going to say goodbye to, but this does work really well. I'm going to keep my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powders because I really love how silky and fine and smooth these powders are. They are great finishing powders. So not setting powders, but they really add the luminosity back into the skin after you set your makeup. Dim Light is the one that I repurchased because I used mine up quite a while ago. And I'm also going to keep the palette, although I did use up my favorite powder in here, this one, which is Dim Light. But I do use the other two as finishing powders. So this one is Bronze Light, and then this one is Incandescent Light. And this is a permanent palette, so you can pick this up whenever. I am going to say goodbye to this one, which is the Bare Minerals Mineral Veil. I really like the Bare Minerals powder, but this is the Tinted Mineral Veil. Not sure if they still make this, but it's a little bit too dark for me. It just gives my skin too much of a bronze look, where I'm using obviously a setting powder to set my makeup, not to bronze. So this one I'm going to say goodbye to. I've not used this since my last declutter. It's the Sonia Kashuk Brightening Powder, and although the one time I did use it, it was really nice, I just don't reach for it, so I'm gonna say goodbye to this one. Becca Blotting Powder Perfector in Tinted. This is a really nice powder. It actually applies much sheerer than it looks in the compact. So I'm going to keep this one. I do like how it looks on, and also it does help my T-zone. I absolutely adore the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. I don't believe I had this during my first declutter, so this is a new product. This is such a great setting powder. It glides beautifully on the skin, and it just gives your skin a really great flawless finish. I am saying goodbye to the Ben Nye Banana Luxury Powder. I have used this quite a few times actually, even though it doesn't look like it because the bottle is so huge. I just can't seem to incorporate it into my makeup routine. It just feels like that extra step because you can only use this under the eyes. Like, I don't look good if I use this all over my face. This is really more of an under eye makeup setting powder. And as opposed to, you know, products like the Mineral Veil, which is in translucent, if I get this all over my face, totally fine, still looks natural. But this one, it's just too much work for me. I don't bake my makeup, and I just don't like the extra added step. So while I do like the finish that this gives my skin, it's just not really worth the extra effort. Loose setting powder from Laura Mercier in translucent. I have to say, I really hate this freaking packaging. I'm not sure if you can tell because it might be a little bit too bright, but every single jar of this loose powder that I've owned, it always cracks around the rim of the packaging, which is so ugly and such an inconvenience, especially, you know, for traveling. This actually never leaves my makeup closet because it's so fragile. I also don't like how the sifter is just always open. It's just really messy, but I do like this powder. It works really nice, and I like the translucent because it doesn't leave the white cast like some other translucent powders can, and it also gives your skin like a really nice finish. This one is new to the collection too, I believe. It's the Bourjois rice powder. This is in French, but I'm pretty sure it's the rice powder. It is this kind of translucent, slightly pink, shimmery powder, and I like this because it just gives your skin a really beautiful glow. Definitely not for everyone because, like I said, it is a bit shimmery on the skin, so I won't necessarily apply this all over, but I will hit the high points of my cheek with this product. And then lastly is the Givenchy powder, Tonkateur powder foundation, and this one I also really like. I actually repurchased this one, surprise, surprise. So this is actually a new one, and I like it because it's just a great compact to carry in the bag. I repurchased this because I used up the colored powder. I'm not really a huge fan of the illuminator, but the actual tinted face product is really nice. This is the only face spray that I have, and it's not even really a setting spray. It's the MAC Fix Plus, and I actually really like this to spray my beauty blender before I put on a foundation. I also like this after using a powder foundation because it just helps kind of make everything look like skin again. Let's talk about some palettes that I have. So these are a combination of face palette and blush palettes. All of the products in here are from Benefit. The palette is actually from MAC. Nothing much has changed from this palette aside from me deboxing this blush, which is Bella Bomba. So as a refresher of what's in this palette, these are eyeshadows from the Benefit Big Eyes kit or something like that. I believe these are discontinued. Dallas, Bella Bomba, Coralista, Sugar Bomb, Dandelion, and Georgia. I might have mixed these two up. But I really like the Benefit box powders. Cute packaging, but really inconvenient packaging, which is why I deboxed them and put them in this palette. And I still really like most of these products. Okay, now that I've swatched some of these, I am going to say goodbye to Bella Bomba, mainly because I'm not into this blush anymore. Bella Bomba is a nice blush. The only thing is it has a bit of a shimmer to it. It's like kind of a gold shimmer. And I used to really like shimmery pink blushes like this, but I'm kind of straying away from them. So if you like this, then definitely pick it up. It's the only downside about deboxing these powders though, is that you can't really give them away or sell them because it's just this pan. I am also going to say goodbye to Benefit Dandelion. And although I do like this product, it's just not for me. I don't find it flattering for my skin tone. It's a little bit too pink for me. Absolutely love the NARS Stephen Klein palette. I love NARS palettes, period. This one comes with Laguna, a highlight contour set, and then 4 blushes. Saying goodbye to this Napoleon Perdis set. I have not touched this since my last declutter, which means I probably never will. And it's sad because there's nothing wrong with these products. They're actually really beautiful. I just don't reach for it. I have a lot of other products that I kind of reach for first. I still love my MAC blush palette. Nothing in this has changed other than the addition of peaches. So here we have Pinch O Peach, Desert Rose, Blush Baby. This one is Peaches, this one is Fleur Power, and this one is Melba. This was my very first NARS blush palette. I think this is the first one that they came out with. I really love this palette, even though all of these colors are part of the permanent collection. There's nothing particularly, wow about this palette. I just like the convenience factor, although having traveled with this several times, it has taken quite a beating, and as you can see, the hinge is kind of broken on this one, which is unfortunate. I am torn about whether I should just depot all of these blushes and put them somewhere else, but then what would I do with this great mirror? Also love the Charlotte Tilbury all natural face palette, I think it's called. No, Instant Look in a Palette Natural Beauty. It's just a really great palette. It has eyeshadows that I would wear. It has your bronzer and highlighter, your 2 blushes. And again, I've traveled with this, although this one has traveled a little bit better than the NARS palette. 2 last face palettes that I will be keeping. These are both new to the collection since my last declutter. The Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit palette in Surreal Light. This is not a must-have palette. If you have some of the other ambient lighting palettes or products in your collection, there's nothing quite extraordinary about this palette, but I love the portability of it, and the powders are still great powders. There's just nothing particularly special about the shade selection. And of course, the Becca Jaclyn Hill collaboration. I love this palette. I have to say that I really am enjoying these blushes. They are great blushes. My favorite has to be right now a combination of this one and this one, just because they are more of a matte satin finish. This one is their new shimmering skin perfector blush formulation, which is nice. It does have a bit of shimmer to it, so if you like the glow, go for that one. And then the 2 highlighters, which is Champagne Pop. No, this one's Champagne Pop, this one is Prosecco Pop. And I really like both of these, although they're really pigmented. So you can't be too generous with the application, otherwise it'll be really glittery on the skin. I actually did pretty well in the face category. I managed to declutter about 48% of my face products, which I think was pretty great considering I didn't have too many products to begin with. I have also been very good, and I haven't purchased a lot of new things since then. It's been a couple of weeks since my declutter. I did pick up 1 new foundation. I haven't actually received it yet, but it's from The Ordinary. I picked up the Coverage foundation. So far I have heard pretty good reviews about it, so I'm excited to get it. When I will get it, I have no idea because there's a huge back order on them. I also picked up one other product, and it's the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix. Now I picked this up because I actually ran completely out of my setting spray. I only have a little bit left of the MAC Fix Plus, but in terms of my Scandinavia setting sprays, totally out. So I picked this up because I didn't have one. Anyway, don't forget to check out the other decluttering categories. So I have a video for cheeks, blushes, bronzers, highlighters, also for eyes, and also lips. I hope you guys are enjoying round 2 of my makeup declutter, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!